This is called So Much for the Weather Forecast. It was raining in the kitchen. Splish splash said my footsteps, enjoying themselves like never before. It was like a swamp. The butter was swimming in its blue bowl. The sugar had dissolved the nits. The bread was sodden and was busy losing a lot of its breadiness. Little pieces of shit lazily floated from the cat's litter. The sink had half a sink of rain in it, as well as last night's dirty dishes. The kettle with the lid left off had filled itself twice. It had never rained in the kitchen before. The book left open on page 69 was dying. The mobile phone looked like it wasn't having an exactly good time. The stone that some kids had thrown sat on the table like a king on its throne. The broken skylight gathered around it, listening like flunkies to everything the stone had said. The birthday cake lay dead. The ink on the letter wept copiously, ran away crying. Respondez s'il vous plaît. It was raining in the kitchen. Damn, we both said. This is called the application form. The mountain itself, its very self, applied for a place in my memory. It filled out the application form and gave two good references who couldn't praise it high enough, and said if anything deserves a place in my memory, it was this mountain of mountains. But I had already accepted an aunt and the aunt's aunt and uncle for the position of pride of place in my memory of that day, and the job was theirs for the taking. They had filled in the application form in triplicate by all crawling all over my left big toe. How could I say no? The mountain stormed off in a huff. The ants asked, could they be paid in poems? I said, whatever you guys want. And so this is their first week's wages. This is called Meeting at Night. Death entered her room. It was late at night. All the doors were locked, windows shut. The clock was playing tic-tac-toe with the hours and seconds. Death sat and read her last diary entry, her old love letters, the poems she'd written once when she was 13 and then never again. He thought the poems held promise, but they languished forgotten in an old shoebox full of nothing but broken, useless things that nevertheless could not be thrown out, thrown away. Death leafed through her photo album, remarking how much she looked like herself, aged 3 and 83. It was the gaze, the fierceness of the eyes. In the morning, Death left. It was as if he had never been there. Everything was exactly the same as when he had come. Death now at home, reading the obituaries. Her soul, timid and shy, sat beside him as he sipped his tea. There we go. This is called TKO. Shadow boxing, I swung a mean right, which my shadow dodged easily. But my shadow, quick on his feet, came back with a swift left uppercut. Everything went black. The lights had gone out. We had gone to see a very large vicar. He was about 6'5", built like a brick shit house. And he was out in the garden with his roses. And we went out and we could see the top of his head over it. And he was doing this enormous pee. And when we turned around the corner, he had indeed a very large watering can in his hand. It was sort of a Benny Hill type day. So we went in and sat down with his wife. So the poem is called, but it could be equally called, so I've got, or just, I think more. That. Her son, too young to realise his newfound spaceship is his mother's vibrator. This is called Old Dog New Tricks. It was my little girl's third year. She was 3, and there was an explosion of children, and then there was quietness. And the quietness was very worrying. And then they all came back in. And this is called Old Dog New Tricks. The dog's in the loo. We was teaching him to pee and he just fell in.
That was Donall Dempsey.